Magandang oras mga sangkay. Kamusta po ang lahat? So eto na nga po ang ating pinaka-aabangan. Ipoproklama na po ang ating susunod na Pangulo at ang ating susunod na Vice Presidente. So manatili lamang, magantabay lamang mga sangkay at maya-maya lamang mag-uumpisa na po ang proklamasyon. Shoutout muna sa lahat ng mga nanonood ngayon, sa lahat ng mga solidong sangkay na nakikitambay, nakikiisa sa atin ngayon. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Konting oras na lamang mga sangkay, mag-uumpisa na po ito. Ayan na, nagdadatingan na po ang ilan sa mga personalidad. Nakikita po natin si Lucy Torres. Ayan po, mga sangkay. So antabay lamang tayo mga sangkay, ilang minuto na lamang ay magsisimula na. At nariyan na nga po sa loob mga sangkay si dating First Lady, ang pinakatanyag na First Lady na si Imelda Marcos. Samantalang trending po ngayon si Bongbong Marcos sa Twitter. Kani-kanina lamang po mga sangkay ay nasa pang-apat po siya na trending.
is Blancos.
Okay,
the
mga
free-to-play
sangkay. Konting oras na lamang po ay magsisimula na po ang deklarasyon sa ating susunod na Pangulo ng Pilipinas at saka Vice Presidente. Alam ko maraming excited dito na makita po ang ating susunod na Pangulo. Kaya't mag-relax muna tayo ngayon mga sangkay. Nood. At kamustahan muna tayo. Sabi ni Jemuel Nazareno, excited na, ang tagal naman. Sabi ni JT Time Catcher Philippines, Maka-Unit Team, hello. Ayan na mga sangkay, nakikita po natin si Direk Paul Soriano. Kasama po si Tony Gonzaga. Sino pa tong isa? Sino itong babae? Hindi ko namumukaan. Tingnan oras na lang. Relax muna tayo. Magbabasa-basa muna ako ng inyong mga komento. Sabi ni Edin Bernardo, sangkay, oh my thanks. I just called you live streaming. Hooray! Mabuhay ka, Ma'am Edin. Shoutout kay Haribon TV. Sabi ni Nena Rosales Casino, congratulations po aking mahal na presidente. Hayaan nyo, ipepray ko kayo palagi, sir. Sabi po niya. Okay. Okay, padami na po ng padami yung yung mga personalidad na nasa loob. Si Senator Mark Villar nandyan din. Nakikita po natin ngayon. Makikichismis muna tayo sa mga pumapasok ngayon. Okay. Akala ko si Risa Hontiveros yung babae na naka-face mask ng puti. Wife pala siya ni incoming Senator Mark Villar. Alam nyo mga sangkay, parang kailan lang, di ba? Nagkaroon po ng, andyan si Senator Drilon. Ayun, no? Tama ba ako? Naka-face mask kasi. Senator Drilon nga. Huwag kayong mag-alala mga sangkay. Tropa yan ni BBM si Senator Drilon. Si Kong Martin at magiging speaker po yan ng ng ating Congress. Shoutout po sa lahat ng mga nag-aantabay, mga nanunood ngayon. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. Konting oras na lamang po mga sangkay ay matutunghayan na po natin ang susunod na Pangulo ng ating bansa. Parang hindi ko pa napansin na andyan na si Sara. I don't know kung... Kanina kasi mga sangkay, meron pong mga lumalabas na pictures sa family ni BBM na andun na nga. Oh, mga sangkay, nandyan na rin pala si Mayor Inday Sara kanina pa ata. Ayan, nakita ko dito mga sangkay sa balita mula sa SMNI. Eto, papakita ko sa inyo yung video mga sangkay. Okay, andyan din po si Senator Lito Lapid, Senator Revilla, Uy, si TP nakita ko, ayun oh. Nakita nyo ba yun? Mukhang si TP yun ah. Yun oh, parami ng parami yung mga solid sangkay na nanonood ngayon. Anyway, paki-like po ang ating video ngayon. Habang nanonood kayo, napakadali lamang pong gawin yan mga sangkay. So ito mga sangkay, papakita ko po sa inyo yung pagdating kanina nila BBM at Mayor Inday Sara, kung saan nagkita na nga po sila dito mismo sa Kongreso. Ito, pakita muna natin to mga sangkay. Ito po yung pagdating nila kanina. Ayan po. Ayan, kasama si Gloria Arroyo, former president, BBM. Sobrang close talaga ng ating Pangulo at saka si Sara eh, no? Tingnan nyo nga naman. Tingnan nyo kung paano sila nagkita. Okay, mga sangkay. Balik tayo sa nagaganap na...
Your Honor, good afternoon. We'll be starting in 5 minutes. Settle down. Thank you.
Magsisimula na po mga sangkay. So ayan, nakikita ko po si Simon. Si Simon Marcos. Ayan po. At siguro kung hindi ako nagkakamali, yung may puting buhok na nakaupo ay si Ma'am Irene Marcos. Baka nagtataka kayo mga sangay, bakit ganito yung attire ko ngayon? Hindi naman sa trip ko lang. Siyempre, mga sangkay, makasaysayan itong proklamasyon kay Bongbong Marcos at masaya po ako na eto na, magbabalik ang isang Marcos at ipoproklama na po ngayong araw. So, kaunting oras na lamang po ang inihintay. Magaganap na po ang inaabangan nating lahat. Okay, titingin-tingin muna ako sa inyong mga komento ngayon. Magbabasa-basa muna tayo. Baka magtampo na kayo eh. Sabi ni Alex Dulfo. Gwapo natin sangkay dyan pa-shoutout naman. Oy, shoutout kay Alex. Ayos ang ginawa niya, nambola muna siya nung una para ma-shoutout. Michael Operanya, shoutout sa'yo. From Dubai daw po, nanonood siya ngayon. Kay RG Galendes, shoutout. Hoy, si John Kagampang, ang aking kaibigan ngayon ay nanonood pala sa akin. Mabuhay ka, sir. Sangkay, I love you. Hooray! Magpapatuloy ang pagbabago ayon po kay Johnny Varios Videos. Oo nga, magpapatuloy talaga ang pagbabago ngayon. Ayan. Mga sangkay, nakikita po natin ngayon si Madam Imelda Marcos na andyan na nga po. So, excited na rin po ako sa inauguration, no? Sa kabilang banda, mga sangkay, alam nyo, nalulungkot din po ako dahil nga po ang ating Pangulo na si Tatay Digong ay i-exit na po sa kanyang opisina bilang Pangulo ng Pilipinas. But, ang kinagandahan lamang po sa pagtatapos ng kanyang termino, mga sangkay, ay dahil po ligtas sa kamay ang Pilipinas. Dahil andyan po si Bongbong Marcos. Hindi po mapapahamak ang Pilipinas sa kamay ni BBM. At alam naman po natin na may mga binabalak na masama itong mga dilawan. Ayan na.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the part of the Senate, joint committee meeting is resumed. On the part of the House, joint committee is resumed. On the part of the Senate, they solicit the approval of our members, the joint committee report on the canvass of presidential and vice presidential candidates in the May 9, 2020 elections, and the accompanying resolution of both houses. Those who are in favor of the approval of the joint committee report and the adoption of the resolution of both houses, part of the Senate, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it, ladies and gentlemen. On the part of the Senate, the joint committee report is approved with the accompanying resolution of both houses is adopted. On the part of the House, may I solicit the approval of our members of the joint committee report on the canvass of votes for the presidential and vice presidential candidates in the May 9, 2022 elections and the accompanying resolution of both houses. Those who are in favor of the approval of the Joint Committee report and the adoption of its accompanying resolution of both houses, please say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. On the part of the House, the Joint Committee report is approved and its accompanying resolution of both houses is accepted. The House Secretary General and the Senate Secretary are directed to submit the Joint Committee report and the accompanying resolution of both houses to the joint public session immediately after the members of the Joint Committee have signed the report.
Thank you very much, my dear co-chair. On the part of the Senate, before just an announcement, right after we adjourn this joint committee meeting, we will resume our joint session of Congress. So on the part of the Senate, the joint committee meeting is hereby adjourned.
On the part of the House, the Joint Committee meeting is adjourned.
Walang makapasok.
Ayan po mga sangkay, nakikita po natin ang former First Lady at ngayon, incoming First Lady ng ating bansa, si Ma'am Attorney Liza Araneta Marcos. Wow! Sabi ni Rafael, makapanindig daw po balahibo. So, lahat ay magantabay. I-share nyo po ang video na to para mas maraming makapanood mga sangkay. Kasi makasaysayan itong magaganap sa ating bansa na idideklara ang bagong Pangulo ng Pilipinas. At muling magbabalik sa isang Marcos administration. Ayan naman mga sangkay, marami po ngayong excited, no? Dahil nga po, eto na nga po, sabi pa nga po ng mga lolo at lola natin, magbabalik na ang bagong lipunan. Kahit tamad ako mga sangkay, excited din po ako na muling magbabalik po ang ating gobyerno sa ilalim po ng pamumuno ng isang Marcos. At alam ko mga sangkay na marami pong magagawa si President Marcos ngayon dahil nga po napilayan na po ang mga dilawan. At malabo na po talaga silang makabalik. Alam niyo mga sangkay, ang isa lang naman sa magpapabalik sa mga dilawan ay kung magkakaroon po ng magkakaroon po ng kalokohan ng ating gobyerno na matindi. Pero yung mga chismis lang na mga paninira parang kay President Duterte na ang dami pong chismis na nagpang-abot pa po sa international. Wala po yun. Pero kung magkakaroon ng matinding error ang gobyerno, saka lamang po magkakaroon ng chance ang mga dilawan na makabalik. Pero ngayon, mga sangkay, nakikita ko, wala pong kapag-asa. Lalong-lalo na po, ang isang Marcos ay nagbabalik na po sa ating pamahalaan. Sabi ni Maika Katugas, congratulations, our beloved President BBM. God bless, mabuhay po tayong lahat. Sabi ni Apple May, naiyak ako sa saya. Yehey, mabuhay ang Pilipinas. BBM Sara, Uniteam. Sabi ni Melody Alfaro, congrats President Bongbong and VP Sara. Alright, mga sangkay. Marami pong ang nagpapaabot ng kanilang mga mensahe. I love that song. Sarap pakinggan. Sabi ni Jenna Amal. Me too. I love this song. Eto na. Tugma-tugma talaga itong mga sangkay sa ano natin. Sa ating ano ngayon na magbabalik ang isang Marcos. May isang bagong lipunan pang magaganap ang ating bansa. Ako. Marami po ang nag-aabang dito. Nagre-ready na po sila mga sangkay para sa deklarasyon at proklamasyon. Mga sangkay, magkaiba po ito sa inauguration ha. Baka sabihin nyo na ito na yung inaugurasyon ng pagkapangulo at pagkapangalawang pangulo. Hindi po. Ito po ay proklamasyon pa lamang at iba po ang inauguration ni President BBM. At meron nga pong lumalabas sa mga balita na ang gusto daw po ni Senator Amy Marcos muling mabalik sa tradisyon na panunumpa bilang Pangulo ng Pilipinas doon po sa Aquirino Grandstand. Kasi kung maaalala natin, halos lahat po ng mga naging Pangulo doon po nanumpa, mga sangkay. Maging si President Marcos ilang ulit pong nanumpa doon sa Quirino Grandstand. Kaya nga lang mga sangkay, ang isa daw po sa problema, ang lugar po na yun ngayon, ayon po sa mga nalalaman ko mga sangkay, mayroon pong doon po nilagay yung mga may COVID doon. Yung tawag doon. Yung doon po pinapagaling mga sangkay. Or parang vaccination area po ata yun if I'm not mistaken. So ayun na nga po. Ang Senate President at Speaker ng Kongreso ay nandyan na po. Ready na. Ako po, kinikilabutan ako mga sangkay. Ayan na. Ayan na mga sangkay. Konting tiis na lamang. Mag-relax. So kung hindi nyo pa nalalike ang video na to, ilike nyo na mga sangkay. Ayan na.
On the part of the Senate, the joint public session
Okay, mag-start na mga sangkay.
On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint public session is resumed.
Mr. President, on the part of the Senate, I move for the consideration of the report of the Joint Committee and its accompanying resolutions of both houses. Number 1, proclaiming the candidates obtaining the highest number of votes for President and Vice President.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. Consideration is in order.
Majority Leader is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives, I move for the consideration of the report of the Joint Committee and its accompanying resolution of both houses. Number 1, proclaiming the candidates obtaining the highest number of votes for President and Vice President.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the report, of the Joint Committee and the resolution of both houses, number 1.
Report of the Joint Committee for the canvassing of votes for the presidential and vice presidential candidates in the May 9, 2022 elections. Resolution of both houses number 1, entitled Resolution of both houses approving the report of the Joint Committee declaring the results of the national elections held on May 9, 2022 for the office of the President and Vice President and proclaiming the duly elected President and Vice President of the Philippines.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. May be recognized to sponsor the said measure.
Majority Leader is recognized as chair of the joint panel.
Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues in the Senate, the House of Representatives, ladies and gentlemen, what we have witnessed in the last national and local elections, for me, was one of the most credible, orderly, and peaceful in our elections history. Don't just take it from me, as this is reflected in the assessments of different media outfits, election watchdogs, and civil society organizations, including the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting. Just more than 2 weeks after the May 9, 2022 elections, we are about to proclaim the duly elected President and Vice President of the Republic. Quite fast indeed. The result of this election is historical in several ways. First, it has the highest number of votes cast in our nation's election history, with an 82% voter turnout, totaling 55,197,306 votes. Second, Mr. President, since the 1987 Constitution, this is the first time that we elected a majority president and vice president. A phenomenon indeed in a multi-party system under a presidential Republican government. The duly elected president garnered a total of 58.77% of the total votes cast in the last May 9, 2022 elections. And the duly elected vice president gathered a total of 61.53% of the total votes cast. And third, the canvassing of Congress in joint public session took only 2 days to finish. And I would like to take note that this canvassing is the fastest in our nation's history of elections. Another milestone for Philippine Congress. However, we would like to emphasize, we did not sacrifice transparency and the authenticity of the results for a speedy count. The process was hastened due to several factors. Early on in the canvassing of the Joint Committee, we appreciated the manifestation of the counsels of several presidential and vice presidential candidates. Notably, the counsel for Vice President Leni Robredo, a presidential candidate who manifested that they have a continuing manifestation that they interpose no objection for the canvassing of all COCs brought before us in this body. The same manifestation was made of record by the counsel of Vice Presidential candidate Senator Kiko Pangilinan and presidential candidate Mayor Isko Moreno. That, ladies and gentlemen, was a magnificent show of statesmanship on their part, and we sincerely thank them for that. It shows the importance of uniting as a people and healing the emotional wounds brought about by this very emotionally charged election. The Joint Committee consensuously examined the certificates of canvass, both the manually transmitted and the printed copy of the electronically transmitted COCs, and painstakingly determined their authenticity and due execution, as required by law and by our rules. The canvassing went on smoothly, except for some instances when the manually prepared certificates of canvass were not found in the ballot boxes submitted to us or submitted to the Senate President by several provincial election supervisors and city election officers. Thus, under our rules, we summoned the concerned provincial election supervisors and city election officers to explain the non-inclusion of the COCs in their submission to the Senate President and asked them to locate the COCs and bring them henceforth to Congress. I have in many times in public expressed my frustration for such failure during the proceedings of the Joint Committee. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, in this juncture, I would like to urge the Commission on Elections to take remedial steps to ensure that these glaring mistakes would not happen again, hopefully in 2028. For the record, the Joint Committee did not want to sacrifice the accuracy and the count, nor disenfranchise any province nor LGU from this historic process. That is why we even waited for the results of the special elections of Lanao del Sur and several overseas absentee voting areas to complete the canvass of votes. Another factor which truly helped make the canvassing of votes so efficient, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, was the masterful handling of my co-chair, the Honorable House Majority Leader Martin Romualdez. I would like to say this, ladies and gentlemen. He never left his post throughout the proceedings, not even for lunch, not even for dinner, not even a bathroom break. He truly leads Congress by example, and I salute you, sir. I would like to also take this opportunity to thank the hardworking members of this joint committee, my colleagues from the Senate, Senator Nancy Binay, Senator Franklin M. Drilon, Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Ralph Recto, Senator Grace Poe, Senator Pia Cayetano, and our alternate members, Senator Lito Lapid, Senator Risa Ontiveros, Senator Coco Pimentel, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, and our colleagues as well from the House of Representatives, Congressman Jesus Crispin Remulla, Representative Abraham Tolentino, Representative Christine Singson Mihan, Representative Sharon Garin, Representative Manuel Manix Dalipe, Representative Juliet Ferrer, and alternate members, Representative Juan Pablo Bondoc, Representative Johnny Pimentel, Representative Alfredo Garbin, and Representative Stella Kimbo. With that, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, it is my distinct honor and privilege to sponsor the report of the Joint Committee on the canvass of votes for presidential and vice presidential candidates in this historic May 9, 2022 national and local elections. The Joint Committee, Your Honors, canvassed a total of 171 COCs from provinces, highly urbanized cities, local absentee voting, overseas absentee voting, and found all of them to be authentic and duly executed. The results, Your Honor, of the canvass shows that Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. obtained the highest number of votes for the position of president, garnering a total of 31,629,783 votes. With a lead of 16,594,010 votes over the second placer. On the other hand, Madam Inday Sara Zimmerman Duterte obtained the highest number of votes for vice president with 32,208,417 votes, with a lead of 22,879,210 votes over her closest opponent. Allow me to add, Mr. President, matagal-tagal na rin po ako sa politika at maraming eleksyon na rin po ang aking napagdaanan, both local and national elections. At ngayon lang po ako nakakita nitong dalawang kandidato kapag nagmo-motorcade ay kilo-kilometro po ang taong nag-aabang. sa kaitwikan ng araw, kainitan ng araw at hindi alintana ang init. May mga rallies din po kami na kasaganan ay nag-uulan at nananatili po ang tao. Yan ang masasabi natin, umulan na tumaraw man ay kasama pa rin po natin ang ating mga kababayan. May mga kaugnayan po tayo na pamilyang ang nag-aabang at nagdadala pang sariling baon para sa kanilang tanghalian. Mga galing sa kanayunan, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, talagang nakakamangha at ngayon ko pulang nasaksihan na ganyan na pagtanggap sa ating mga kababayan sa ating dalawang kandidato. In this election, truly, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, President-elect Bongbong Marcos and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte were truly rock stars. However, the greater task of the victors today is to unite our countrymen for nation building. That begins today. This weighs heavy on their shoulders. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, Ecclesiastes 3 says, there is a time for everything. For everything there is a reason, and a time for every matter under heaven. Today, let me urge our kababayans, ating mga kababayan na nakikinig po na yun, that it is a time to heal from this divisive campaign. It is a time to respect the will of the majority of our electorate. And most importantly, it is a time to unite for the welfare and progress of our people and rally behind our flag and our country. Mr. President, with an overwhelming victory of our President-elect Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. and Vice President Inday Sara Duterte, I am convinced that the Filipino electorate heeded the clarion call to unite for progress and to get out of the suffering caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. It is a resounding affirmation of the Filipinos' desire to move forward and jumpstart our economy. And finally, today is a triumph of our democracy. Mabuhay ang ating demokrasya. Maraming salamat po.
The Majority Leader of the House of Representatives is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I be recognized to sponsor the report of the Joint Committee.
The Majority Leader and Chairperson of the House Panel of the Joint Committees is recognized to deliver his sponsorship speech.
Mr. Senate President, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, guests, ladies and gentlemen, the joint public session of Congress to canvass the votes for the duly elected President and Vice President in the elections of May 9, 2022, is honored and privileged to submit its report to the honorable members of the Senate and the House of Representatives in joint public session. Pursuant to the constitutional mandate of Congress and the instruction of the joint session of Congress, the Joint Committee convened on May 24, 2022 to canvass and tally the votes for the President and the Vice President. After just a day of canvassing, the task had been completed and we were set to proclaim the duly elected President and Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. The proceedings of the 2022 joint public session has been the fastest canvassing of the presidential and vice president elections results in the country since it adopted the automated election system. Foremost, due recognition must be given to the members of the Joint Committee who worked round the clock to canvass the votes in order to proclaim the winners in the soonest possible time without sacrificing accuracy and fairness. The Senate panel headed by the Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Migs F. Zubiri, Senator Maria Lourdes Nancy S. Binay, Senator Franklin M. Drilon, Senator Amy R. Marcos, Senator Grace L. Poe, Senator Ralph G. Recto, Senator Pia S. Cayetano as members, and Senator Manuel Lito M. Lapid, Senator Risa Ontiveros, Senator Aquilino Coco III, Senator Ronaldo Bato de la Rosa as alternate members. Likewise, we also take note of the diligence of the members of the House panel. Representative Jesus Crispin C. Remulla, Representative Abraham Bambol N. Tolentino, Representative Christine Singson Mihan, Representative Sharon S. Garin, Representative Manuel Jose Manix Dalipe, Representative Juliet Marie de Leon Ferrer as members, and Representatives Juan Pablo Rimpi P. Bondoc, Representative Johnny T. Pimentel, Representative Alfredo Jr. A. Garbin, and Representative Stella Luz A. Kimbo as alternate members. Credit must also be given to the officers and staff of the Commission on Elections who were able to immediately respond to the directives of the Joint Committee to explain the missing physically delivered COCs. The concerned Provincial Board of Canvassers, through their provincial election supervisors, were able to explain before the Joint Committee through virtual communication the whereabouts of the COCs. The chairpersons proceeded with the canvassing of the electronically transmitted COCs and required provincial election supervisors to submit the actual original copies of the COCs. We also commend the members of the Secretariat and the Joint Committee, both from the Senate and the House of Representatives, for their support and assistance, and the members of the media who were with us throughout the proceedings. We also express our gratitude and appreciation to the councils of the candidates who have manifested their graciousness of their respective candidates in recognizing the integrity of this election. Indeed, the healing of the country has begun, and we urge everyone to unite as a nation. Finally, credit is due to the more than 55 million Filipinos out of more than 66 million registered voters who, amidst the threat of the COVID-19, braved the long queues to exercise their right of suffrage, resulting in a record-breaking 83.11% voter turnout. Indeed, our democracy is alive and vibrant. The ever-growing political interest shown by our electorate is symbolic of the people's clamor for change, prosperity, and progress. The Joint Committee canvassed a total of 171 COCs. 132 COCs were electronically transmitted to the consolidated canvassing system by the Board of Canvassers of the provinces, cities, and overseas absentee voting countries. 39 COCs were physically delivered to the Senate of the Philippines from the Special Board of Canvassers for overseas absentee voting, local absentee voting, and detainee voting. With all the 171 COCs tallied, Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. and Davao City Mayor Sara Zimmerman Duterte obtained the highest number of votes among the candidates for President and Vice President, respectively. Senate Marcos Jr. received 31,629,783 votes, or a lead of more than 16,593,010 votes over his nearest rival, Vice President Maria Leonor Robredo. For the Vice Presidency, Mayor Sara Duterte received 32,208,417 votes and had a margin of over 22,879,210 votes over her closest rival, Senator Francis Nepomuceno Pangilinan. The 2022 electoral campaign period has been polarizing, with the country reeling from the impact of a global pandemic and other major calamities and disasters it was evident that the nation was divided as to what direction to take in order to move forward. But the majority has spoken. It is high time that we listen to their voice and uphold the outcome of our democratic process. Let us heal the wounds of the political division, brace ourselves for the challenges ahead, and move forward as a strong and united Philippines. Let us be prepared to work harder for the nation and give our full support to the new leadership. At the end of the day, we are all Filipinos, and we want nothing than to see our beloved nation chart its own course and ultimately triumph. On this note, I urge the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives in this joint public session to approve the report of the Joint Committee embodying the resolution of both houses proclaiming Honorable Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. as President and Honorable Sara Zimmerman as Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas at ang buong sambayanang Pilipino.
Majority
Thank you, Mr.
Leader.
President. Mr. President, out of my excitement of my speech, I forgot to make the same motion. On the part of the Senate panel, Mr. President, we respectfully recommend to Congress, as the National Board of Canvassers, in joint public session, approving the report of the Joint Committee and resolution of both houses, number 1, declaring the results of the national elections held on May 9, 2022 for the office of the President and Vice President, and proclaiming Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos and Inday Sara Zimmerman Duterte as the duly elected President and Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. I so move, Mr. President.
Majority Leader, we would like to
Yes.
entertain a formal motion for
For
the
the vote.
adoption of the resolution.
Yes. Mr. President, we're now ready to proceed to vote for the adoption of the report and the accompanying resolution. On the part of the Senate, I move for the approval of the report of the Joint Committee and the adoption of the accompanying resolutions of both houses. Number 1.
Distinguished members of the Senate, there is a motion by the Majority Leader to approve the report of the Joint Committee and to adopt the accompanying resolution of both houses, number 1. As many as are in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
As many as are against, please say nay. The ayes have it. On the part of the Senate, the report of the Joint Committee is approved and the resolution of both houses of number 1 is adopted.
The Majority Leader of the House of Representatives is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, we now proceed to vote for the adoption of the report and the accompanying resolution. On the part of the House of Representatives, I move for the approval of the report of the Joint Committee and the adoption of the accompanying resolution of both houses, number 1.
Distinguished members of the House of Representatives, there is a motion by the Majority Leader to approve the report of the Joint Committee and to adopt the accompanying resolution of both houses, number 1. As many as are in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye!
As many as are against, please say nay. The ayes have it. On the part of the House of Representatives, the report of the Joint Committee is approved and resolution of both houses, number 1, is adopted.
Ayan na, mga sangkay.
The Majority Leader of the Senate is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On the part of the Senate, pursuant to the adopted resolution of both houses, number 1, I have the honor to move for the proclamation of the
Duly elected.
duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines and the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. I was
Is
just,
there-
it was in a blank. It was
Yeah.
blank, Mr. President. I wanted to make sure that one was not ahead of the other. So I was worried about that blank.
I have it.
Thank you, Mr.
Is there
President.
any objection? The chair hears none. On the part of the Senate, I proclaim Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. as the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines. And Sara Duterte as the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines.
The Majority Leader of the House of Representatives is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives and pursuant to the adopted resolution of both houses, number 1, I have the honor to move for the proclamation of Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos as the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines and Sara Duterte as the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. On the part of the House of Representatives, I proclaim Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. as the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines and Sara Duterte Carpio as the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines.
We shall now proceed to the approval of the journal of the joint public session, and for this purpose, the Senate Majority Leader is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On the part of the Senate, I move that the Honorable Senate President be authorized to approve the journal of the joint public session and that such approval shall be considered as the action of the Senate of the Philippines.
Any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved.
The Majority Leader is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives, I move that the Honorable Speaker be authorized to approve the journal of the joint public session and such approval be considered as the action of the House of Representatives.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
The Senate Secretary is now directed to turn over the consolidation and canvassing system, the machine, and return all the ballot boxes as well as all the pouches containing the certificates of canvass and election returns to the Commission on Elections. So directed.
President, on the
Go,
part of the
Leader.
Senate, I move that we designate the members of the Senate panel for the Joint Committee as members of the Notification Committee.
If there is no objection, the chair appoints the members or designates the members of the Senate panel of the Joint Committee as designated members of the Notification Committee.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives, I move to designate the members of the House panel of the Joint Committee as members of the Notification Committee.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The members of the House panel of the Joint Committee are designated as members of the Notification Committee.
Mr. President,
Yes, go ahead, Majority Leader.
on the part of the Senate, I move to suspend the joint public session to notify the duly elected President and Vice President of the proclamation and invite them to the rostrum.
Is there no objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved. On the part of the Senate, the joint public session is suspended.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives, I move to suspend the joint public session to notify the duly elected President and Vice President of their proclamation and invite them to the rostrum.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint public session is suspended.
So, ano na? Ano nagiging ganap? Papasok po sila sa loob siguro. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, pupunta dyan sila BBM. Eh, yun. So, hindi ko alam anong magiging ganap dyan, mga sangkay. Pero ayun nga, nakikita naman natin, binabati na po si BBM ng mga politiko na nasa loob po ng Kongreso. Uy, sino yan? Si Maria Reza? Maria Reza, si Risa Hontiveros ba yan?
So sorry. So sorry. Excuse me.
Tayo atras. Atras pa tayo, atras. Without mask. Yeah.
Kasama po yung mga kasalukuyang
Sir, atras tayo konti.
senators.
Sir, attorney, atras tayo konti. Thank you.
Okay, ready?
Okay, everybody, all eyes here. The meeting.
Ma'am, bigay niyo sa ano? Sa ano? Dito kayo sa likod, mga dito sa likod.
Madam Amy Marcos.
Mas marami to eh.
Parang papasok pa ata sila sa loob.
Okay, all eyes here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more.
Panalo na.
Okay, smile.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we bring them there? Dapat sila yung naglalabas.
Ayan na, papasok po sila sa loob. Ayan na naglalakad na si Vice President Inday Sara Duterte. At ayun nga mga sangkay, mukhang diyan po tutungo si VP Sara. Ayan na yung ating susunod din ng Pangulo sa darating po na halalan pagkatapos ng term ni President Bongbong Marcos. Hindi ko alam mayroon pang speech na magaganap. Hindi po ako aware pagdating sa proklamasyon. Ang kinagandahan po dito kay BBM at Sara Duterte ay dahil hindi po talaga sila nadidiktahan ng kahit na sinong tao, okay? Hindi po yan sila mababasta-basta na utuin ng kung sino man mga sangkay. Yun po yung kinagandahan. Yun po yung nagustuhan ko kay President Bongbong Marcos at Vice President Inday Sara Duterte. Ayan na, papasok na rin po ang ating rockstar President Bongbong Marcos. Ayan na mga sangkay yung inaabangan nating lahat. Alam ko kahit hindi ko kayo nakikita ngayon mga sangkay, pumapalakpak kayo sa inyong mga pwesto ngayon. Kinikilabutan ako mga sangkay. Shoutout sa lahat ng mga millennial at mga Gen Z na naabutan natin. Finally, naabutan po natin ang isang Marcos administration, no? Naranasan natin o mararanasan natin ngayon mga sangkay. Yung dati kwento-kwento lang, sa panahon natin ngayon, may bago pong Marcos na na-elect as president. Magkakaroon din po tayo ng isang panibagong Marcos administration. Si Attorney Liza. Parang gusto ko malaman ano kaya ang binulong ni Attorney Liza. Anong ibinulong kay BBM?
On the part of the Senate, the joint public session is resumed.
On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint public session is resumed.
To our duly elected President, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., to our duly elected Vice President, Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte, congratulations. You have been placed by God in this position for a reason. May He lead you into your purpose and may you live it courageously. In every step you take, may God protect you. I pray for God's blessings for your leadership, for you and your family. Congratulations.
I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate our President-elect, Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. Maligayang pagbati po, President BBM. To our Vice President-elect, Sara Zimmerman Duterte Carpio, congratulations, Ma'am Inday. Congratulations also, and thank you to the Joint Canvassing Committee, led by House Majority Leader Ferdinand Martin Romualdez and Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri, for the swift and fair canvassing that guaranteed people's faith in our electoral process. Thank you to all the honorable members of the Joint Canvassing Committee and the Secretariat for your hard work and invaluable support in ensuring a historic canvassing that was finished in 2 days. Ngayong araw na ito, Congress bears witness to the unity of our country, a true partnership between the North and the South that has become the unity of all corners of the country. In previous elections, Filipinos voted for President and Vice President from different parties. Finally, this year, we will learn the importance of voting for a tandem, a uni-team that can work together, a uni-team that can collaborate with each other, and a uni-team that can push for a shared national agenda. The people have spoken decisively. This is not just your sweeping electoral victory. This is an overwhelming victory for all Filipinos. This is a victory of our democracy. The gracious acts extended by the camps of other candidates yesterday, which greatly facilitated our proceedings, show the best of what Filipinos can be, even in the most divisive of elections. Nakikita po natin ngayon ang tunay na lakas sa pagkakaisa at pagsasanib puwersa. We need a catalyst, and there is no better example than the unifying force that we have seen and we will see in a government led by President BBM and VP Inday Sara. The Philippines looks forward to your leadership. It is my great honor and privilege to congratulate you both today. Mabuhay po kayo. Secretary General.
Ladies and gentlemen of the 18th Congress, Honorable Sara Zimmerman Duterte, the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines.
May we request the duly elected Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte Carpio to proceed to the rostrum.
May we also request the family of the duly elected Vice President, Inday Sara Duterte, to accompany her to the rostrum, please. the Senate Secretary.
Ladies and gentlemen of the 18th Congress, Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines.
May we request the duly elected President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. to proceed to the rostrum.
May we also request the family of the duly elected President Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. to accompany him to the rostrum.
Kasweet naman ni BBM at Attorney Liza. Ayan na. O, yung mga umiiyak dyan. Punas-punas din. So, sana kaya ni Madam Imelda Marcos na pumunta. Ayun! Gusto kong makita talaga si Madam Imelda Marcos. Ayun, buti na lang aakyat siya. Wow. This is it, mga sangkay. Ito na yun. Tinitingnan ni Ma'am Liza Marcos si Madam Imelda. Yun. Finally. O, yung mga umiiyak dyan. Shoutout sa mga umiiyak dyan habang nanonood ngayon. O, yung mga naiiyak, magsi-comment kayo. Yung mga naiiyak dyan. Okay lang yon umiyak kasi talagang matagal po natin itong inasam mga sangkay na binagkaloob po ng ating Panginoon na maging Pangulo muli si Bongbong Marcos o isang Marcos mga sangkay na muling magbabalik sa palasyo. O magsi-comment yung mga naiiyak dyan, yung mga umiyak, yung mga naiyak.
Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President. Out of all the excitement, we forgot that we have to adjourn. Therefore, Mr. President, on the part of the Senate,
Ito na.
I move that we adjourn this historic joint public session.
On the part of the Senate, this joint public session is hereby adjourned.
Majority Leader of the House of Representatives.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House, I move to join the joint session.
On the part of the House of Representatives, this historic joint public session is adjourned.
Yan na mga sangkay, shoutout sa lahat ng mga Pilipinong sumuporta. Picture muna mga sangkay. So, shoutout sa lahat ng mga nanood ngayon, nag-antabay sa ating live mga sangkay. Naku po, ang saya naman. Alam ko yung pakiramdam nyo ngayon na talagang yung iba umiiyak dahil nga po natunghayan natin ang proklamasyon ng ating susunod na Pangulo at pangalawang Pangulo. At dati pa man mga sangkay, sinasabi na po natin na ito ay dream team, no? Talagang nangyari po. Ako, naniniwala ako na destiny po ang lahat. Ito ay talagang kalooban ng ating Panginoon na maganap itong ganitong klaseng tagumpay at pagbabalik ng isang Marcos sa Malacanang, mga sangkay. At, ako, marami po tayong aabangan sa mga susunod na araw, susunod na linggo, susunod na buwan, susunod na taon at susunod pang mga taon, mga sangkay. So, patuloy lamang po nating suportahan ang ating presidente at vice-presidente, ang administrasyon na to, mga sangkay, dahil mula nung nagsimula, nakita naman po natin ang panawagan ng ating Pangulo at ni VP Sara. Ito ay walang iba kundi ang pagkakaisa nating mga Pilipino. So lahat ng bagay hindi po magiging matagumpay sa administrasyon na susunod kung tayo din po ay wala sa ayos, wala sa disiplina, walang pagsunod. Mga sangkay, makiisa po tayo. Yan, naririnig po natin yung awitin na yan na bagong lipunan. Hindi po magkakaroon ng bagong lipunan, mga sangkay, kung tayo mga Pilipino ay nagkakawatak-watak. Kailangan po ng pagkakaisa. Ngayon ay humaharap tayo sa pandemya, humaharap po tayo sa pagsubok na kung saan pilit po na kailangan ibangon ang ating ekonomiya. Mabuti na lang, naging Pangulo si President Duterte. And I would like to thank our President Tatay Digong, maraming salamat kasi dahil sa kanya, nabuksan pa po ang mas maraming kaisipan ng mga Pilipino na ibalik po ang isang Marcos. At nakita naman po natin ang ginawa ng ating Pangulo, si President Duterte, na napakarami mga sangkay at ipagpapatuloy po yan ng ating susunod na Pangulo. At isa lamang po ang sa tingin ko masisiguro dito na ang ating susunod na Pangulo at Vice Presidente ay magiging strong leader na hindi kayang diktahan ng kahit sino mga sangkay. So ayun, abang-abangan po natin ano po ang magiging ganap. Please, paki-subscribe po yung ating channel. Okay, lahat po kayo ngayon, i-subscribe nyo po yung ating channel at i-click nyo po ang bell notification para mas marami pa pong makapanood. At syempre, maa-update po kayo sa bawat video, bawat ganap na i-upload po natin dito mga sangkay dahil susundan po natin ang administrasyon na ito. So yun, maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Parang ang hirap tapusin na ito, but ayun nga po mga sangkay, tapos na po ang proklamasyon. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe at palagi niyo pong tatandaan that Jesus loves you. God bless po at mabuhay po ang